Hey guys, Related Christ here, and I was just sorry that I haven't seen you guys in so long, that I haven't posted a video in quite a long time, about 11 months now, almost a year since the last time I posted a video, and I'm really sorry about that, and sorry that my hair is kind of big today, um, but I came here today, to make a video about what Richard Dawkins, this is probably maybe a year or so ago, I don't know. Um, but he talked about the Ten Commandments, but he mocked it as he always does, as he is derived by hate, and all he really does is he's a scientist, so I'll give him that, but he makes really irrational comments that don't really go along, takes things out of context, like some atheists. I'll give him that too. But he started off with the first commandment, which is no other gods. And he started off by saying, why would we make that our moral principle, for there being no other gods? And so I wrote something down, and it's God being your only God is a very important moral principle, because when you get to heaven, and God knows that you worshipped other gods throughout your life, God might or probably will say, I never knew you. Have fun hearing that from the God who created over 380 billion galaxies. That would be kind of sad. And that goes for Islam, Hindu religions. They have multiple gods. So do the Zeus believers, the Roman gods, and many other religions like that believe that kind of thing. And so, yes, have no other gods. That goes for verses Exodus 21 through 26. Richard Dawkins, I believe that you should read this part of the Bible. Just all of Exodus. I mean, take a day to be a Christian. That might help. I don't know. But Exodus 21 through 26, that definitely explains why you should have no other gods. And God was pointing this for the Israelites. He led them out of Egypt. I might be wrong. I haven't read the chapter in a long time. But that is where the references to is Exodus 21 through 26. So basically, why God kind of created this is that for no other gods, it shows it in Exodus 20 verse 3, is that he just led the Israelites out of Egypt. And they start making gods and stuff. And God's like, guys, I just led you out of all of you being dead. And it's pretty much about obedience. They weren't really being obedient to God. They lost hope. And they went to the other side. An example would be a Christian losing hope in God and becoming a deist. That's basically what they did. And same goes for don't make idols is the next commandment. You could still read it in Exodus 21 through 26. The chapter isn't changing anytime soon, so I would just go read it. And the third commandment, do not use God's name in vain. Do not use God's name in vain. Richard Dawkins said, there are better things to worry about than using God's name in vain. Cussing is a big issue. And I see that some, I go on Instagram, that's one of my ministries and stuff, is posting quotes on Instagram, and I get, apologists, followers and stuff, and that's not what I'm looking for. It's more just reaching out to people, even through the smallest thing. It's all, fellowship with God, being a follower of God, that's what it is. But I see some of the apologists that I follow, and they follow me. One of them is called I Know the Meaning of Life or something, and it's knowing, stuff like that. That's his name on Instagram. And in one of the descriptions on one of his posts, he cussed. And I was like, you're a Christian. And I don't think, well, I actually know that that's not good to say as a Christian, is don't swear, don't say, stuff that millennials say today, like, OMG, but that's, oh my goodness to Christians, that's what we do. But the other one, the other saying that it means is highly disrespectful to God that gave you a life that you can be obedient to him. But you're using that as being lazy in life and just using it la-di-da, I'm gonna say this now, you know, it's not good to do that. And if you had genuine obedience, profound obedience to God, you would know not to say that, to serve God in any way, to be his disciple. And the next one, he had now we're getting a little more serious, and I'm gonna talk a lot, although it's been already like almost 7 minutes now into the video. Hopefully not, I'll edit it. But Numbers 15:32, he gave this example, and if you read it, he implied that God is not a moral God because he told Moses to tell the people to stone the man who is picking up sticks on the Sabbath day. But Exodus 31:14 says, "Observe the Sabbath because it is holy to you. Anyone who desecrates it is to be put to death. Those who do any work on this day or that day must be cut off from their people." Exodus 35:2 also says, "For 6 days work is to be done, but the 7th day shall be your holy day, a day of Sabbath, rest to the Lord. Whoever does any work on it is to be put to death." So, yeah, Numbers 15:32 through 36 is a reference that he gave, and it's about this man who was picking up sticks on the Sabbath day. They brought him into custody, and, you know, Moses was like, "What do I do, God?" And God was like, "Kill him." Richard Dawkins said, "Why would you kill a man who was just picking up sticks on the holy day?" Well, I know, Richard Dawkins, that you've probably read Exodus about a dozen times, so you would be the one to quote these verses if you were a Christian, but I know your motive is to mock Christianity and go against God himself right now, so I understand you. But keeping the Sabbath day holy, Exodus 31:14 and Exodus 35:2 totally disprove what he said and explain how that went, as Dale Ratzlaff, he wrote a book called Sabbath in Christ, and on page 74 it said, "As we look at what the covenant people were either told to do or told not to do on the Sabbath, but then reflect back on the first seventh-day rest at the end of the creation week, there seems to be a definite connection. It appears that the Sabbath law given to the Israelites were designed to cause them to behave very much as Adam and Eve behaved in Eden. While this fact is clearly not brought out in scriptural record, it is strongly implied in the wording of the fourth commandment. The fourth commandment is, as we were talking about, to keep the Sabbath day holy." And it was talking about how they were kind of under strict laws, as Adam and Eve were in the Garden of Eden. And you know how that went down. And so, for the fifth commandment is honor thy mother and father. I forgot to look that verse up. Okay, that's okay. I'll add it in or something. Anyways, for the fifth commandment, Dawkins said this is a rather good one. He referred to verse Luke 14:26, and it says, "If anyone comes to me and does not hate his father and mother, wife and children, brothers and sisters, yes, even their own life, such a person cannot be my disciple." First off, Richard, you took it out of context. And second, when the words love and hate are used together, they are comparative in these instances. The word hate is not to be taken literally. This implied your focus and obedience and passion should be focused on Christ. And hate is more like, put God first, you know. If anything is coming first, idols, perverted justice, anything like that, no, hate it, okay? He's not saying like, hate, because the word hate is used very specifically in the Bible, such as Paul, he used it, Jesus, he used it, for different parts of that. Alright, now we are going to 6, thou shalt not kill. Dawkins said, well, that's a pretty good motto. From about 3 minutes to 3 minutes and 26 seconds, I couldn't hear what he was saying, or I would respond right now, but I'll leave a link in the description for the video, and if you guys want to bring that argument up, if there's any atheists listening, if you want to bring it up in the comments because I didn't hear it, that's okay, I'll most likely respond. Anyways, so about 90% of the kills in the Bible, that murder kills, are by the hand of God. All of them reasonable because he's God, for goodness sakes. And the other 10% were about jealousy kills, or injustice, or suicide, which felt that he or she could not be fixed by God, or Cain and Abel, murder, brother, jealous. That's what I put in there. And then it got a little serious. This is where I know that I said earlier in the video that it's going to get serious. Well, this is more the serious part. I did cry when I heard Richard Dawkins say this. He repeated the following: "The doctrine of the redemption of original sin is roughly like this. God, the creator of the universe, the deviser of the laws of physics, of quantum mechanics, of relativity, this genius God, couldn't think of a better way to forgive our sins than to come down to earth as his outer ego, his son, and had himself hideously tortured and executed, so that he could forgive himself on behalf of all mankind, including future people, whether or not they actually intended to sin when their time finally came." How dare you mock Jesus Christ? He was not, although he might have been hideously persecuted, hideously tortured, but that was for Christ. Millions to almost 1 billion people came to Christ after that moment. Richard Dawkins, you are derived by hate. You mock Christianity because you are in Satan's trap right now. But never mock Jesus Christ, who died for your sins. And I know that you are closed-minded right now, and you might cuss at me because I said that to you. But I don't really care about your feelings. I care about Jesus Christ. And yes, I have been persecuted for being a Christian, and that is a great feeling. Paul and his other buddies came out whipped, lashed, cat o' nine tails and everything, and came out rejoicing because they were persecuted for Jesus Christ. But mocking Jesus Christ was in the Bible. God made friends, or Jesus Christ, the Trinity, so basically the same thing. Jesus made friends with tax collectors and sinners and people who despised him. And he made them relational to him. And he taught them. God was a peacemaker. So I really hope that you think about this, that he could forgive himself. Not only did he do that, he forgave all of mankind. That's a big thing to take on. There have been countless movies made of that. Some of them, Hollywood Liberty, but that's just Hollywood, man. And the other stuff, it's true. The Bible. I mean, even though, and I'm getting a little off of, track here, but the papyrus scroll found in John Ryland's papyrus museum in Oxford, or one of the colleges in England, England. One of them was the oldest text of the Gospels, dated to be written about 40 to 50 years after the crucifixion. Now, Hemant Mehta, the YouTuber who does the Friendly Atheist YouTube channel, he was talking about, and he was telling Christians, or atheists, that you should stop giving Christians credit for them talking and living off of a 2,000-year-old book. It's not 2,000 years old, it's more like 1,000. Well, really, you said that you're making 50 years. If you watch the video, I'll leave it down in the description. He said he makes 50 years seem like 100 or 200 or 300 even. I mean, he makes it seem so long, and he's scrambling up your mind through his patronizing and demeaning videos of his arrogant mouth. So, not trying to be mean or anything, but that's what he was doing in the video. And 50 years after the crucifixion takes place, that's still enough time for people to be witnesses. The crowd was composed of 10-year-olds who can remember a lot of stuff. I mean, more and more kids are retaining more and more stuff in this era. And 10-year-olds to even 80-year-olds were there watching Jesus go down the track, were watching him being put on a cross, watched it till the very end. Witnesses 50 years later, that goes from 60 to over a little bit of 100 years old. That's still enough time to be a witness. So basically, you're saying that, the story can be changed over, 50 years. Well, that's still enough time for witnesses to still be there. So back to the thing, he was mocking Christ, and that kind of got to me. Yeah, and then one of the last things he said in the video is he said, "I suppose the other way you might think you would get your morals from religion would be fear of the divine spy camera in the sky. Fear that God would send you to hell. There seems to be a sort of inverse relationship between the probability of a punishment and its terribleness. If the idea of hell were remotely plausible, then it wouldn't have to be so horrible as it actually is." Well, Richard Dawkins, I guess you're just softening the blow on where you're going to go after you die. No, I think hell is... It's very... I don't like to think of it. There's a Francis Chan video where he was on a talk with a guy on FaceTime or something, and he's like, "I don't like talking."